evening to all of you faithful viewers of Equinoxe television. It's time for the news. We thank you for being with us. Our major stories this evening: cases of monkeypox have been reported in Cameroon already lately. Public health officials are taking measures to ensure that the disease doesn't spread across the national territory. They say the reason thereto of the presence of the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malachi, here in the economic capital Douala today. Now, what is monkeypox? How does it manifest? How does that disease manifest? Our reporter spoke with health experts, and they will be telling you more, and also the modes of prevention in this edition of the news. Plus, human bones or skeletons have been seized from some hoodlums here in the economic capital Douala. The skeletons or the bones, the booty, was intercepted by security forces in Douala. Those are our lead stories, viewers. Details and more when we come back. Welcome back, viewers. We begin with what is happening at the moment at the Douala Autonomous Port or the Douala Ports Authority, where activities at the ports in Douala have resumed with Société Générale de Surveillance SGC back in control of scanning containers at the ports in Douala. The media release from GCAM has encouraged economic operators or business persons to calmly resume their import and export activities while being attentive to the adjustments which are still to come. Samantha Gabriel now tells us more, especially on the release of GCAM.
The Cameroon Group of Enterprises, GCAM, has announced a gradual normalization of activities at the autonomous port of Douala after several days of tensions related to the scanning of goods. Meeting on February 18, 2026 in Douala on the initiative of Cameroonian employers, the main players in the port area, notably the autonomous port of Douala, the SGS, and the head of the Littoral Customs Sector 1 held a second consultation to assess the evolution of the crisis in light of the resolutions adopted on February 12. Following the discussions, the business community expressed its satisfaction with the mobilization of stakeholders, which enabled SGS to effectively resume container scanning operations on February 17, 2026. This resumption of activity puts to an end the double invoicing practices denounced by business operators during the crisis. GCAM also welcomed the measures planned for the reimbursement of sums deemed unduly collected, as well as the steps taken to expedite customs clearance operations with the aim of decongesting the port of Douala and facilitating trade. However, the employers' organization emphasizes the need to continue consultations with all stakeholders. A key focus is assessing the impact of scanning on non-containerized flows, the additional cost of which could significantly affect the competitiveness of businesses and ultimately household purchasing power. In this context of gradual improvement, GCAM encourages economic operators to calmly resume their import-export activities while remaining attentive to the adjustments still expected in the implementation of scanning system.
And now to this other lead story. Elements of the Douala 2 Gendarmerie Brigade have arrested 3 men who are suspected of trafficking human bones or skeletons. They were arrested during an operation that took place in Douala and in Kribi. In the report which comes up next, our reporter Lom Mayeru tells us how the operation which led to their arrest went on.
3 individuals aged 35, 39 and 45 years have been arrested and presented to the public at the Douala 2 Research Brigade for traffic of human bones. It was a brilliant idea that was long planned by these individuals before its implementation.
1 year ago, Mpajop Justin had a brilliant idea and shared with his colleagues Zé Ango Amel and a cousin, Minku Gaitan, that is to remove the remains of a Pygmy native buried in a bush at the Suka Palm industry in Kribi.
Security sources say that the men of the underworld extracted the bones from Kribi before heading to Douala for sale.
At their arrival on Saturday, 7 February 2026, Zé Ango Amel and his cousin Minko Gaitan had difficulties to find a potential buyer after 2 days, which pushed Minko Gaitan to return to Kribi on Monday.
One of them was arrested at Bebanda Omnisport in his way to making a deal with a potential buyer from whom he demanded 8 million francs CFA.
The investigation, under the coordination of the commander of the Littoral Regional Gendarmerie Legion, led to the arrest of Zé Amel with the human bones in Douala.
It was after his arrest that he revealed the name of his crime partners. This operation was made possible thanks to the collaboration of the population engaged in the fight against high criminality with the coordination of security forces.
In respect to the instructions received by our hierarchy, we made a successful operation thanks to the collaboration of the local population. The National Gendarmerie by this calls on the local population to call us through our green number, which is 1501, or go to any brigade for any security issue.
This arrest illustrates the collaboration of the gendarmerie with the population to fight against high criminality organized, thereby sending a strong message to those who intend to continue in the activity.
And as the world pushes towards achieving quality education for all under the global goals set by the United Nations and supported by agencies like UNESCO, questions have been raised on Cameroon's commitment to education. Somehow, in Gomindengwa Division, we are in the Northwest region. One of the oldest government primary schools in that area is said to have been abandoned, turning the classrooms into grazing fields and leaving dozens of children without access to education. Our reporter, Stella in Bamenda, paints a picture of that school in this report.
This is what remains of government school Gom in Nous subdivision, once one of the oldest and most vibrant primary schools in this area. Today, it stands abandoned, silent and overgrown. This campus, which shaped young minds for decades, last hosted lessons in 2024. Since then, classrooms that once echoed with people's voices have turned into grazing grounds for animals. According to local residents, the sudden closure of the school remains unclear. However, many say the prolonged armed conflict has played a major role in driving learners away. With insecurity and declining infrastructure, parents have increasingly turned to mission schools, but these schools often come with high fees, leaving many families unable to afford education for their children. As a result, some pupils have simply dropped out. At a time when authorities continue to advocate that no child should be left behind, communities like Gom are still struggling with limited access to basic education. The situation directly challenges the global commitment to quality education under the Sustainable Development Goals championed by the United Nations, particularly Goal 4, which calls for inclusive and equitable education for all. For residents here, education remains their greatest hope. They are now calling on government authorities to urgently rehabilitate and reopen the school so children can return to classrooms instead of roaming the streets.
And now we move over to Nigeria to take this very sad news element in which at least 38 persons are reportedly dead following a gas explosion. A suspected toxic gas leak at a zinc mining site in Plateau State company Zurak in Nigeria has left at least 38 people dead and several others hospitalized. Over to Gabon, where social media platforms are suspended until further notice due to the concerns over online content fueling conflicts and divisions. In Burkina Faso, the government has mobilized nearly 500 billion francs for the Patriotic Support Fund, exceeding 400 billion francs CFA projections. Immaculate Fogwe with details.
A suspected toxic gas leak at a mining site in Plateau State, Nigeria, has left at least 37 people dead and several others hospitalized. The incident occurred at a zinc mining site in the company Zurak, Wase local government area, with eyewitnesses describing the blast as sudden. The victims were reportedly mining zinc on behalf of a company believed to be Chinese-owned, although ownership structure couldn't be verified. Security forces have taken control of the area, with the army cordoning off the site to prevent further access and spread. Meanwhile, Gabon's media regulator, the High Authority of Communication, HAC, has suspended social media platforms until further notice due to concerns that online content is fueling conflict and deepening divisions in the country. The reasons cited include the spread of false information, cyberbullying, and unauthorized disclosure of personal data. This move has affected platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and WhatsApp, although some platforms like X remain accessible. The suspension comes amid growing social unrest, including strikes by teachers and civil servants over pay and working conditions. Civil society actors express concerns that the suspension will paralyze economic and social activity, especially for businesses relying on social media. Also, Burkina Faso's government has mobilized nearly 500 billion francs CFA between 2023 and 2025 for the Patriotic Support Fund, exceeding initial projections of 400 billion francs CFA. The fund supports volunteers for the defense of the homeland and security forces. The funds have been used for equipment including combat helicopters, uniforms and medical care. The government aims to mobilize 200 billion francs CFA in 2026. The fund is managed by a steering council and undergoes regular audits for transparency.
Sad indeed. And viewers, that does it for the first part of the news. Let's move on to talking points. Welcome back, viewers. Just like we announced yesterday, our guest today is Reverend Father Chumbu. You already know, maybe he is one of the special advisors to the Archbishop of the Douala Archdiocese. Thank you again, Father, for your time. Now we are talking about the Holy Father's visit to Cameroon. The Holy Father, Pope Leo, is expected in Africa any moment from now. In Bamenda, we saw streets and the airport there being swept, and all of those preparations seemingly. Tell us now, Father, about the Pope's visit to Cameroon. Is it just a rumor or is it fact?
I think it's a likely event. The likely event it will happen. It will happen most definitely. It's more than rumor now, because international press have carried it. It's a matter of date. The quick question now is, when is the Pope coming to Cameroon? I think that's it. When it's due time, I'm sure the people concerned will be able to communicate the exact date. You know, there's a lot of preparation behind this thing. The fact that the Pope is coming, I think, is no longer a secret. But when he's coming, that is where the problem is. He's been announced in other African countries where he's meant to visit, with specific dates. So people speculate and put coming to Cameroon around that period, probably coming to Cameroon, going there, or leaving from there to come to Cameroon. That is very clear. At the level of the Archdiocese, the Archbishop, you know, is quite aware of what is being said, and I'm sure that he has the necessary dispositions to make that happen in Cameroon as well. In Bamenda, they are sweeping the airport. I suppose he'll be going to Bamenda. But when time comes, a very clear program about the visit is going to be made known.
Father Michael, now we are sure the Holy Father will visit Cameroon. That is according to your words. Some opinions have it that it's not the right moment for that papal visit, because there are so many squabbles in the country as we speak, which needs to be fixed. First, tell us, what plus will the papal visit bring to the lives of a common Cameroonian?
The Holy Father, first of all, is a statesman. So when he comes, we cannot undermine interaction with the government. We cannot undermine interaction with the government. But to the Cameroonian, he is our chief shepherd. He is the apostle number one. He is the one who is coming to encourage us about living our faith. He is the one who is coming to remind us that we are not alone, that Christ is with us. and the churches with us. I think that alone is so significant. But the most important thing I like to highlight is that the Christian message is never about what people do. It's about presence, because that's what Christ gave us, his presence into our world, getting close to those who are weak, who are vulnerable, standing by them and reminding them that there's hope. That's what the gospel is all about. I think that is what the Holy Father is coming to do in Cameroon before anything else.
Thank you so much, Father Michael, for your time. Now, Father, coming back to the 40-day period of Lent, which began yesterday, Ash Wednesday, you had a huge congregation in Bonaberry at St. Louis. What do you recommend of your flock, be they far or near, so as for them to draw closer to God and live in harmony with one another during this period of intense prayer?
The Holy Father, Pope Leo XIV, put out a very beautiful message. And I think that every Christian should read this Lenten message. To please God, say we have to listen more. Lent is a time to listen. You take out everything stopping you from listening, making sure that the Word of God comes back the center of your life. If there have been other voices that have been motivating you, give priority to the Word of God. Take time to read the Word of God, read the Bible, the readings of the day, meditate over them. That's important. And then the second one he says is fasting. Fasting not just from food. He has this beautiful phrase which says, I'm suggesting to you one way of fasting this Lent. Avoid saying hurtful words to people. Very concrete. Avoid saying words that are hurtful in social media, in political debate, in social discussions. Avoid any kind of bitterness in you that will spill over onto another person. And I think that is where Lent begins. Because when you go and you start fasting from hurtful words, when you are a boss and you fast from hurtful words and the damage that you do to your colleague, you begin to realize that Lent takes more than just refusing to eat in the morning.
Before we go, Father Michael Chumbu, Christians are called to pray, but we all know the context in which we live in Cameroon, that of desperation and frustration to many, at least to many. Most people have lost hope. What words do you have which can revive their faith and hope? Faith and hope, which are two of the three divine virtues.
Yes, Lent reminds us that we're heading towards Easter. And if when you live Lent genuinely, you come to realize that our own man-made solutions do not always bear or materialize the hope that they carry. You come to realize that everything begins with God and ends with God. You come to realize the power of the resurrection. When we say Happy Easter at the end of Lent, it's because we have understood that life is not what we see around us. Our hope is Christ and Christ alone. Sometimes we tend to forget that. Now that's where our greatest hope should be, in the one who is our peace himself. For example, people, there are different understanding of peace today. Everybody comes at it from an egocentric perspective, political angle. At the end of the day, unless we put peace at the level with the equal sign with Christ, we've missed it all. Our hope, that's where our hope is. That when Christ is risen, he opens our eyes to the emptiness of our promises, to the emptiness of political promises, to the emptiness of our world, to the emptiness of anything that might give us the illusion that, we have it all.
Thank you very much, Father Michael Chumbu, for accepting to be our guest on the news tonight. Reminding again our viewers that you are the parish priest of the St. Louis Parish in Bonaberry, here in Douala, and also you're one of the special advisors to the Archbishop of the Douala Archdiocese, His Grace Samuel Kleda, whom we use this opportunity to wish His Grace Samuel Kleda a happy 25th anniversary, serving in the Lord's Vineyard as a bishop. Viewers, that was it for the news. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for always being with us. Our programs continue this evening. Equinoxe comes up in about 35 minutes or so, and the news in the French language will be yours at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television, and God willing, we will be together again tomorrow same time. For now, it's bye-bye from us.